So as we get started here, we have a couple of different parts to this that we're going to do. Obviously, there's a little presentation at the beginning, and then a little less formal part afterwards, which will have somebody up here taking pictures, but everything going on. So after I begin with a word of prayer, we'll turn it over to the family to do whatever presentation they have before we get to the picture portion of it. So, if you would join me in a word of prayer. Thank you, God, for the many blessings that you bestow on us. Thank you for the gift of Aleena and the many blessings you've given her and the skills. We ask that you're with her in this next step, in the planning and in the participating, that you're with every step that she has and you continue to give her those assurances. Most importantly, focusing today on the gift of salvation that you work through her and that you present as she's light in the world out in this next step. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right. I'm not going to wear my mask because I know it'll sound really muffled through it. So, thank you, Dan, for opening with such a good message, and thank you all for being here today. We really were concerned in the last couple of days of whether or not we would be able to meet today. We were originally scheduled on the 11th, and because of COVID, we weren't able to do this. So thank you so much for adjusting your schedules and for being here today. I know it means a lot to Aleena and everyone. So I'm used to working without a microphone, so I usually project, and I was afraid I'd be screaming with the microphone. So let me know if it's too loud. Aleena has worked really hard to get here today and to get to this point. It takes a village. It takes family, friends, coaches, teachers, teammates. It takes a lot of people. And it takes a lot of years of invested time and working hard to get to this point. And so we're so excited, so blessed to be able to celebrate with Aleena today. We've loved being part of every bit of her journey. So that being said, let's get going. So, and this is kind of funny because this is a picture that I took with my BlackBerry, so you can see how far technology has come with phones, and that's the only picture we have of like that. But we have a whole set of BlackBerry photos. So this is when, very early on, Aleena loved really all sports. And when she was, I always tell this story, and Joey and I were just talking about it this week. When she was 18 months old, give or take, and some of you in the audience will remember this, we were sitting in church, and we were sitting near the front of church, and we hear this sound, boom, 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 boom. And here comes Aleena, about 18 months old, dribbling a basketball. She'd gotten out of the nursery. She came up through the narthex, came all the way to the front. She was looking for us. She came all the way, bounced all the way up to the front, checked where we were, switched hands, never looking at the ball, switched hands, went all the way back down into the nursery. And so we were like, okay, definitely something with a ball is in her future. It was so cute, and we were just all kind of like looking at her going, she never looked at her hands, never looked at the ball. So it was pretty funny. She wasn't really that long out of walking. So let's see. This picture is, we took her when she was about, I want to say 8 years old, to maybe 7, a little bit younger, to a Husker game. Can you remember, Aleena, how old were you? I don't know. She doesn't know. But we went up to Omaha to watch, just for fun, to watch a Husker game. And we knew after that point she was absolutely hooked on volleyball. And if you could have been there, if you've ever been to a Husker game, it is 98, 99% wall-to-wall red. Every seat is sold out. It's standing room only. And we were staying in the hotel nearby, and when we came in the elevator, the team was on the elevator, part of the team, not all, they can't all fit, but they were on the elevator with us, and so here was Aleena, like this tall, and here were these 6'5" girls. Most Husker girls are pretty big. We walked off of the elevator and I could just tell she was like just in love. And then of course she had such a good time at the game. So we were pretty sure volleyball was definitely in her future. So, again, some old BlackBerry photos. So volleyball 101. So this was second grade on the left, and she was playing for BVAC in third grade on the right. And you can see she started to sprout. She started to grow really quick. But we always laughed because she was like, darn, I'm gonna hit. She would watch the older girls, and she would say, I'm gonna hit an overhand. And she's at the 10-foot line on the left one, but she was already starting to hit overhand serves and just trying to spike it. She wasn't jumping yet, so. But anyway, we kind of laughed because she was like, I can do it. If the big girls can do it, I can do it. She was like, don't put those pictures in there. So, Aleena didn't play just volleyball. So she started out playing many sports. She played soccer, and the funny thing is in the picture in the upper left, right after we took this picture, I wish I would have snapped the next one. So it was a co-ed team, and she actually stole the ball from this bigger kid, and when she knocked him down and she stole it, and then he started to cry. And so I was like, why didn't I get the pictures right after it? So she loved playing soccer. Of course, she loved playing basketball. She played basketball all the way through 8th grade. She did track and field and taekwondo. She got her junior black belt. So she and Julian spent years and years in taekwondo. Unless I have a good angle. That is the battery's going bad. Okay. So this is Messiah Lutheran. And so Aleena started playing around 4th grade. She played up. And they had a 5th and 6th grade team and a 7th and 8th grade team. And she was coached by Melissa Gabbard. So I saw Melissa here. There she is. Melissa, would you come up and say a few words? So Melissa was one of Aleena's very earliest coaches.
I hate microphones, but I'm a principal, so I'm pretty good at projecting my voice. So I had the honor of coaching Aleena at Messiah when she was in 4th through 6th grade, and she always played up because my daughter was a couple years older than her. And when I first met her, I could see that she had such raw talent, and I knew she was a special player. And you were that versatile player that every coach loves having on their team. You always put forth 110% in practice and in games, and she would keep practicing until pretty much I was shutting off the lights, and her dad and I were like, okay, we're leaving. She always had a smile on her face. I love that she was willing to try anything new that I put in front of her. She would try various positions. She was never afraid to try new things. She practiced that overhand serve until it was like killer. You were definitely part of a special group of girls in Messiah, and I'm so proud of your accomplishments. I'm so proud of the grit that you have displayed throughout your high school years on both club and high school teams. And I wish you all the best on your journey at the next level in volleyball and in your education. And continue to follow your dreams and stay true to yourself and always love you.
Thank you, Melissa. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to bounce back and forth a little bit, but this is the early years of club. And so to kind of give you a timeline, Aleena started playing grade school, so in total, she will have played about 9 years of school ball. and she'll play 8 years of club ball, all in total. But this is when she first started, 11 black and 12 black. And her coaches were Tricia and Eric Kelsey. And so those were the very earliest years, and she's been with Invasion her entire club career. Back then, if you notice, she's one of the tallest. She's in the back row. She was a hitter, and you'll see as the time goes on, she was tall early, and then everybody else started getting taller. Aleena looked like she was shrinking, but not really. And so she started out hitting, and then she moved kind of around. She did defense for a while. She set for high school. So she has played all the positions over the years. And yeah. Gotta be outstanding. There we go. So this is 13 black. And her coach unfortunately couldn't be here today. This was Jamie Walrath and Jane Lepore. And so that's when Aleena, she was still playing all the way around. She was still a hitter at this point. But you can see they're starting to get taller. So once she started playing high school as a freshman, her coach was Rudd, and I know Rudd's here today. I have a couple of photos, but predominantly this one was a great one because they took the district championship in 2018. So Aleena played, again, whatever Rudd needed her to play, she played. But so she did some setting, she played as a hitter, and she played usually all 6 rotations. So I'm going to turn it over to Rudd to come up and say a few words.
My biggest problem is not being able to see the notes that I wrote, so, but then whoever needs notes, right? I remember watching Aleena playing in grade school when we used to watch the games right at the end of the season, decide, well, let's see, what do we got coming up here for Lutheran High School, and maybe who's going to play in our all-star games and so on. And to see a 7th and an 8th grader with an approach and the kind of jump she already had was incredible. I mean, she would get up as high as anybody I had. And I don't think Aleena's necessarily going to be a college hitter, although I think she could be. I think, I've had players that were no taller than Aleena played in smaller colleges as front-row players. But Aleena's also obviously an outstanding defensive player. That's probably where she's going to be going. But when you look at players that you get, you look at a couple of things. You look at things like talent, obviously, and you look at intelligence. How much do they know the game? And Aleena obviously has had talent from what we're seeing. She's got a lot of natural ability. And when you get somebody in high school as a freshman that has intelligence for the game, really understands the game, that really means a lot. That means a whole lot more than talent, when you really think about it. Over my 49 years of coaching different sports, we've had a lot of students that were not necessarily talented, but they were intelligent, and they could really bring out a lot. Now we have somebody who's got both. I think the one thing that we wanted to develop is leadership. And I think that's something that I saw really start to develop here at Lutheran High School, is that leadership, because she would come in early and she would stay late and help the other kids. Show them some of the fundamentals and so on, and stay a little bit later maybe while I was putting things away and she'd be working on a drill or something with somebody just to help them out. And so she was beginning to really demonstrate that leadership. And she's an all-around player. In a school like ours, you have what you have, and you play people in a position where you need them. And if she was playing in a very, very large high school, she'd probably be a libero. when you played at Lutheran, you're everything. And, outstanding backcourt player, we use that classic Radzinski 6'3" offense, which nobody ever heard of except I created it. And it worked. It got us a district championship, so it was great to see that. And by last year, I retired from coaching after last year, and I had kept 10 different top 10 lists that go back to when the school began in 1980. So in 40 years, we have a girl here that's on 10 of those lists. That's 40 years of volleyball, and she's in top 10 on 10 of those lists. One of the lists she's not on is blocking. And I don't think she's going to be on that one. I didn't see this year's stats, but I don't think that she's going to be on the top 10 in blocking. But she also, at the end of last year, held 6 records. 6 total volleyball records here. And I think from what I heard this year, she may have gained another 1 or 2, maybe 2 more records. So that she holds 8 records. So, it's a good thing to see that she's going on with this sport and she's going to do something with it. I'm really happy to see that. I really appreciate being able to coach you, and I appreciate the effort that you always put in. She loves the game, and that's a big part of it. If you have a team of kids that love the game, you're going to be a championship team. And that and leadership mean a whole lot more even than talent, but of course she has the talent also, so a lot of things are wrapped up in Aleena, so I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me speak.
Thank you, Red. A big part of her high school career. So, another individual that significantly contributed to Aleena's high school career is Tom Vanderford, and I know Tom's here today. This is a couple of pictures. Aleena helped Tom. Now, Tom was assistant coach. He was the head coach for JV, and then he was the assistant coach for varsity. But one of the things Aleena loved to do was to help out and coach for the All-Star for the middle schools. And so this particular set of photos is where she's helping Tom out. And they were always strategizing because it was a very competitive event every year to see who would be able to take the win. So it was definitely an honor to be able to do that. So I'd like Tom to come up, if you don't mind, and say a few words.
Thank you. Well, between Coach Radzinski and the slides you've already put up here, you've just pretty much taken care of everything I was going to say. Thank you. No, I was at that 8th grade tournament with Coach Radzinski when we were watching the 8th graders and scouting, and when you watch those things that a lot of the girls, they're going to be going to various schools, and when Lee told me that Aleena was going to be coming to Lutheran High, I was like, oh, right, we get the best one out here. So that was something I really look forward to. And then, as it turns out, it was everything I hoped for. The talent, physical talent, was obvious. 4 years, you've got so many records. So I'd like to just kind of touch on more of the being a good teammate and some of the intangibles. First of all, again, I'm repeating what Lee said, but it was obvious from the start that you have a love for volleyball. And we tend to have long seasons. Right after school ends, we're starting our summer program where we're going through plyos and all that sort of thing, working through the summer, and a lot of times the air conditioning's not on. So you have to really love doing it. And then as you work your way through the season and all the grueling practices, we didn't let up much on the conditioning through the season. And so by the time October rolled around and we were getting towards November, a lot of times I could sense the team, maybe was, kind of, losing some of their enthusiasm in that long season. But with Aleena, it was like, hey, we get to play volleyball today. It had that attitude. And then, after the season, then she goes right into club season. So she's basically playing year round all the time, and you could never tell it by the attitude. It's like every day is we get to play volleyball. And some of my best memories is I got to pepper with her a few times and did a really good workout there. But so I could sense no burnout or fatigue. So I think that's going to really serve you well as you get into college, take the next step and everything. But probably one of my favorite memories of coaching you was your freshman year, and one of your teammates, one of the JV girls, wanted to stay after and work on her hitting approach, and it was just everyone else had left, and Aleena, she was probably waiting for a ride or something, but she'd already taken her shoes off, and so I started working with this teammate on her hitting approach, and I said, Aleena, come over here. And she was more than happy to come out and demonstrate it. And finally, I was afraid she was going to slip and fall. She had to, I made her put her shoes back on, but she started demonstrating, her 3 or 4 step approach, and I said, I have to get this on video. So I took some video, and we were able to, this particular person, I believe, as I recall, she was left-handed, so they could kind of change it around a little bit. But just the fact that she stayed after, she was willing to help out a teammate, it was a JV or a C2 teammate, and she was already on varsity. But the fact that she would take that time to do it says a lot for her. And so that's probably my best memory of you, Aleena. And congratulations on this day, and good luck to you in your next event.
I was going to say something kind of funny, and Tom reminded me of it, because we would use a lot of instructional videos. And the thing is, we made our own instructional videos, and she was the one, and we would show those sometimes. This is how you approach, this is where your hand should be when you hit the 10-foot line, and so on. And it just broke down perfectly. Tom reminded me of that when we started taking videos of Aleena's moves. We can sell those now.
A lot of fun. And Aleena was really blessed to play on varsity for all 4 years, but she spent a lot of time with JV and C, so she had a lot of fun. Okay, so this year we had a change because Rudd actually retired this last year, and so there's a new coach here at Lutheran High, and so Hillary and Bree. I'm not sure which one of you are speaking. So if Hillary would come up and join. This was Hillary's first year here at Lutheran High this year, and so Aleena enjoyed playing for her, and it was a great last season, to be sure.
So of course I got the good fortune of having her already, pretty well developed in her senior year and ready to go on to college. So I'm going to be brief. I didn't get to spend nearly as much time with her as everyone else did, but there were a lot of really great moments for you this season, a lot of really great moments for the team as a whole, and beyond having Aleena, I feel really lucky to have had such a great group of girls coming in this year. Now, I'm sure up there on her favorites are of course signing, and getting her 1,000th career dig this year. One of my favorites though was making her hit that 1,000th career dig twice. I didn't really think the first hit was a real good hit. I didn't think it was worth it. I didn't want that to be the memory she walked away with for her 1,000th day. It could have been better, and we just went ahead and put that one back and made her do it again.
We're like, that's it. She's like, no, one more.
Just one more. I mean, she got a couple more that day, yes, but no, one more. It had to be a good one. That's a milestone, and yeah, it needed to be worth it. Beyond that, I am going to teach you a little bit here. I think my best memory of the year was when she finally hit 5 when we were serving. I tortured her with this all year because it seemed like every time I called a certain spot on the court, it was kryptonite. We just couldn't get that one. And of course, also in districts, when we're like on game point, I'm gonna call that one. And it takes until that point in the season to finally hit it, but then she held it about 3 times. So for me, that was the biggest win, just because I had to make you do it. You know I had to. I had to. But I think you've got great things ahead. Thank you for being such a flexible player in the time that I had her. As Coach Roy kind of alluded to, when you play here, you kind of play whatever is needed of you, and you are always willing to do that and always performed and excelled in whatever I put you in. So you've got a great future ahead of you. Congratulations.
It's kind of funny how we've quickly gone to the mask is just like the accessory that's always with you now, right? You got them hanging from the rearview mirror, you got them in the glove box, you got them in the bag. So it's everywhere. There we go. So Kevin captured this season, and he has captured pancakes in the past, but this was the best one that he captured this year. We were so excited, and he caught it in a multiple frame run. So this will be something we probably save, and he was dancing on the sidelines, that's for sure. We were all like, you got it! So this is kind of Aleena's signature move, those of you who know her. She averages 1 per match in general across. So typically she'll get at least 1 a match. So, and my hips hurt every time I see her go down and do that. But she does it game after game after game. So we had to share that. And just some memories. Lots of celebrations, she was very blessed to have made All-State as a sophomore. She was one of only 4 to make, sophomores in the state to make All-State. And then she made All-State again her junior year, and then she repeated again this year for a senior. So that's a great accomplishment. Skip Jim. So we asked CJ to come and speak, and CJ is actually the head coach of Midway, one of the rivals that we play all the time. And so we thought it would be fun to have CJ. Aleena enjoyed being on the other side of the net with her. She knew it was always going to be a good game because CJ she coaches her teams phenomenally well. She scouts ahead of time, and so they have a whole strategy and a plan to beat us every time. And we get a little in our head sometimes, and sometimes she does beat us, and sometimes we beat them. And you look at the history, we go back and forth. But she's also part of the Invasion Volleyball Club. And so she's a good transition for us to go from being on the other side of the net and also to Invasion. So CJ, did you want to say a few words? Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a PE teacher, so I'm going to pull mine lower because I'm used to projecting as well. I actually first met Aleena when she was 14, playing for Dave. We did a lot of scrimmaging that year right before nationals, so that's kind of where I kind of got to know her. My first impression was like, who is this girl? I remember having conversations with Dave. She was a great passer, she read well, platform was amazing, like you name it, she impressed me not very much. Or the talent that you see at 14, you don't really see that in very many 14-year-old girls. After that, I really didn't think anything of it. It was just gonna be someone that I got to see at club every year. And then I walk in to Lutheran in 2017, which I believe was her freshman season. and seeing you and basically turning to my assistant coach going, I think I know that girl. And when it dawned on me who you were, my face kind of showed it, because I went, oh no, that's Dave's libero. She's really good. But I did notice she was not in a libero uniform, which I know, like Lee had said, Class 1 schools, you kind of have the players that you have, and we've seen many players that play one position in club and a different one in high school. Throughout the 4 years that we played Lutheran, I've always warned my players, like I said, scouting wise or whatever, pregame locker room talk, do not serve to Aleena. Do not. Okay, if you want to keep it, our game plan was always to keep teams out of system. I can tell you, if you serve it to her 95% of the time, they're going to be in system. And my players always went, who's Aleena? And I was like, number one, part of the game, like the intelligence is you start learning other players' names. It's not just a jersey number. Start learning strategies of how they play, all that type of stuff. I've rarely seen her make a bad pass. She's got a great serve. You name it, she's got it. I've watched her develop as a player these last 4 years, and she's been really fun to watch. My assistant coach can be the first one to tell you that anytime, any amazing play you had, I believe you had a pancake against us this year, I would always be like, nice play, great shot. And my assistant coach, my managers would just look at me like, who are you cheering for? Like, she is not on our team. And, I think all of us as coaches can say that any sport that we're truly passionate about, that we coach, that we're always recognizing those amazing plays, whether they're on our side of the net or not. I've also always preached to my players, both past and present, that their goal as a player should be to be the player that the other team knows by name. Not by jersey number, not by position, not by the hair color, what you look like. It's always been by name. And I think once you've reached that, you become a standout in your sport. And I can tell you that for Midway, Aleena, you have been that standout player that we know by name the last 4 years. Even though I've never had the opportunity to personally coach you, I really enjoyed being across the net from you. I was kind of bummed because this year, Aleena also made the MoCan All-Star team for a small class. I was going to have the opportunity to coach that, but unfortunately with COVID, we are not getting that game, so I'll take that we're on the same list together. Congratulations on your commitment to SBU, and I'm really excited to watch your college career.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so this starts the Dave legacy. So Aleena played for Dave Abramson for 3 years? 3 years. So 14, and I'm going to ask him to come up and say a few words, but this is 14 black, and they started earning quite a bit of hardware at around 14. And they got their ferocious look down too. This is at the point where Aleena was still playing all the way around, but starting to transition into a defensive player and starting to focus on being a defensive player. She did a little bit of setting in high school during that time, and she decided that setting is not for her. Defensive role. I'll do a couple quick photos and then you have to switch. One more. There we go. So this one is 15 black, a little celebration. Loved earning national qualifiers, being able to go and play nationally and represent your area. 14-year-olds, but on the court, 20. Oops. Sorry. Maybe it goes too fast, we're not fast enough. So 16 black was the last time that Dave coached Aleena, although he's been with her throughout her entire Invasion career. She's taken many hours of lessons from him, lots of time spent with him. So this was her sophomore year. So Dave, if you would come up. It wouldn't be Invasion without you.
I decided to wing this today, and after seeing she's a Taekwondo expert, I might be a little nicer to her next time. But yeah, as I think about coaching club ball over the last 25 or 30 years, my wife asked me a few weeks ago, I'm not sure if it's out of anger or out of interest as to why I'm still coaching, because she gets tired of me being gone all the time. But I said I do it because I like the girls. I enjoy, for us older folks who are crusty, we kind of enjoy, I enjoy being around the young players because they keep me young, and they goof off and they do funny stuff. And you know, adults take life so seriously sometimes. But as I think about the coaching time with Aleena specifically, at 14s, we had a relatively short team. It was my first year with the team, and it's usually a very difficult year. The first year is always a tough one because you're trying to figure things out. But we had some players on that team with high volleyball IQs, and Aleena obviously was one of them. And her and Allie were the two big outside hitters at about 5'6", but they were really smart players and didn't make a lot of mistakes, and that helped get us to nationals that year, and then qualified for nationals all the other years too. But it was, and then she transitioned from hitting that year to pretty much a libero position after that. And I think I'm a big technician. I really press on the teams to do things correctly, and you're probably tired of all the stuff that I work with you on and pressed you on, but it's all paid off, and I'm looking forward to watching you guys play this year with Travis. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So as you can see, there's a lot of people who've invested a lot of time and efforts into getting Aleena where she is. I'm just pleased to be one of those people, and we're going to do great.
I said I wasn't going to cry today. When you spend as much time on volleyball as our family has, and Julie would say, "What's you doing?" We don't take vacations, we just do volleyball. So we usually tagged on a few days at the beginning or the end, and then it was all about Julian, and he got to pick what he wanted to go see, always involved in the airport. We have diagrams, photos, plane watching from every airport of any city we played volleyball in. So for him though, we didn't take vacations, we just traveled around for volleyball. And when you play 10 months a year between school ball and club ball, it's a pretty, I'll say it's love intensive. We spend a lot of time together as a family, we travel a lot. You get to the point where, can I put 4 people in a car and drive 10 hours or fly cheaper? And then when I get there, if I get there, then I've got to rent a car, so you kind of figure it all out, so you spend a lot of time together. And I can't even track the hours, Joey, that we have sat in the gym, and sat in a bleacher with other parents, and we share that in common. All of the girls that play competitive ball, all of the parents, and we have friends who think we're just absolutely nuts for one, the money we spend, the time we spend. And just, it's a labor of love though, because she does love it so much, so. Just some fun pictures celebrating. Girls are getting a lot bigger. Okay, so we get to literally last February, March, and things were looking so good for 17s. They had a great team, tons of potential. We thought nationals, here we come. And on the particular night, literally, it seemed like the U.S. shut down. We had just driven all the way into Denver, Colorado for a big tournament that was called Crossroads. It was going to start the next day. And all along the way, we were like, are we going? Are we not going? Have they called it yet? Have they not called it yet? And they said, no, we're absolutely having it. So we got there, got there close to midnight, heads on the pillow, alarm went off at 6 a.m., we got up, and everything was shut down. So we got back in the vehicle and drove 10 hours back home again. But that's literally what happened. Unfortunately, COVID-19 shut down, and we didn't have a season. So it was really, really disappointing. Lots of practice went into it, and Rob and Wendy are here that were Aleena's coaches for 17s. And they were so good with the girls, and they really worked them hard. One of Aleena's favorite memories of that time frame was the two of them having both played highly competitive volleyball, being able to hit so that she could defend, so that she could take serve receives and do digs, and not get knocked over. That was the deal. She had to not get knocked over. And so she loved that time. So Rob, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you to come up. Wendy? Is Rob the spokesperson?
I got the better accent, you know? So now I'm gonna say all the truth about Aleena. So many good things, right? Okay. So obviously you guys have said it all. Aleena, she's great. She really is indeed. She was one of the key players we coached at Invasion. She's an all-around player. She really is. In fact, for about 6 months, she was like, "Coach, I can hit, I can hit, I can hit." And me being the stubborn coach, I was like, "Just go play defense. Just leave me alone. Go play defense." The last tournament we had in Wichita, she was like, "Rob, I'm telling you right now, I can hit." And I was like, "Just go change your jersey. Let me see what you got." And she was like, "Are you being for real?" I said, "Yeah, I'm being for real." So she went in, she went to hit the ball, and did you make a point that day? You did, yes you did. There we go. So her eyes got so big, she got the opportunity to hit, and she did an amazing job that day. So sadly, that was the last tournament before we went into all this craziness, if I remember correctly. So for this reason, I would like to express that Aleena never missed one practice. She always went hard and was very coachable, extremely, I must say. She was always there for the players to make them better, to hold them accountable, but most importantly, in the good ones and bad ones. She was also able to take feedback too when her players got mad at her too. So that's a give and a take, right? I remember one time we had a practice in this school. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. I don't know if it was legal, but we practiced here. It was on December 31st of 2019, right? And I just got mad at the girls. Reese, I believe she was the cause of it. And I just made them run. And I'm noticing that Joe is paying close attention to Aleena. And he's constantly checking on her, like, "Hey, are you okay? Are you okay?" But I wasn't paying close attention to what was happening, you know? At some point, Aleena gets super mad at her dad, and she goes like, "Dad, I'm fine. I just need to work harder." Well, I continue to do my thing, you know, just running then to left. At the end of the practice, I go to Joe and I ask, "Hey, Joe, what's going on?" Well, it happened that day she was involved in a car accident, but she didn't want to miss practice. So she never quit. She's not a quitter. So I just wanted to bring that up to everyone. So yeah, that was. I wish I would have known earlier. Probably not a good thing for the club of Invasion, right? Yeah, but the message here is that she's a hard worker and she will never quit. So that day I learned that that's the definition of a champion, you know, and that day I also learned that I was associated with a champion. So that's the way I see you, as a champion. So great job. And I always like to say this because it was told once to me. It's the toughest thing is not getting there, rather it's staying there. Continue to strive as you must carry on with the journey. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob and Wendy. Great memories. Okay. So we're really looking forward to 8 teams this year. It'll be Aleena's last season playing club ball, and it'll be the end of her journey for playing both school ball and club ball. And again, I mentioned that we're just so thrilled with our volleyball family, with the teammates, the families of the teammates. It's just been a great ride. We're so proud of Aleena, and as she moves into this next phase of her journey, we're super excited. She's close by, close enough that we'll get to see some of her matches, which will be great. And we don't have to, we're used to driving, but to drive 10 hours might be a ways. But we're so excited that we still get to play. We don't have to worry about getting our volleyball fix, because we were a little concerned we were going to be going through withdrawal. When you spend as much time as we do in a gym watching volleyball, to not be able to watch it is just painful. It's just painful. So we're looking forward to that, and we're looking forward to watching her grow and blossom and play even more competitive ball in college and pursue her degree, which is going to be in physical therapy. So she wants to work with other athletes long term, and she wants to eventually coach at either the club level, maybe at school level, but we'll see. Probably at club level. She's like, probably club level. But she does love working with the kiddos. So I'm going to have Aleena say a few words, and then we'll finish up with the signing, and then forgot. So, and then we will do a few pictures, and then some refreshments as well. And so the final person I'd like to ask to come up would be Travis. And so Travis, if you could share any of your thoughts on going into 18s and our final leg of the journey, that'd be awesome.
In college,
Yeah.
you were instrumental.
I don't know how good I project my voice, so I'll probably use this. Yeah, so I've known Aleena through Invasion. Again, I've coached the age above her, I think pretty much almost every single year except for last year. And she's one of those players that you do get to know by name, along with pretty much the majority of the 18 black team that I have. They've kind of been a staple at Invasion. They've been together a long time. Really looking forward to them. They got a lot of potential, added a couple of players that should be really solid. Aleena's a huge key in that. She anchors the back row. She anchors the leadership of that team. So just looking forward to it. And as I got to know Aleena, and as she talked to me about colleges and what her future was, she mentioned physical therapy, and I was like, gotta check out SBU. It's a great PT school. They have the doctorate program down there. I think it's a great fit for you. I think you'll do really well there, and I'm glad it worked out. So good luck.
All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Aleena for a few words, and then we'll go into signing.
I just want to thank everyone for coming to my signing. Each and every one of you have supported me through this whole time, and I couldn't be more blessed. I want to thank my best friend and brother, Julian, for being at all my tournaments, and no other brother would do that for any other sister. I want to thank my parents for helping me with my recruiting process, for pushing me, supporting me, for videoing my games for film, taking stats, and staying late after practices to get more touches. I want to thank all my coaches for pushing me to be the best I can be, even if sometimes it's to the point where I almost passed out. For teaching me skills to become the player I am today, and for believing in me, even if I was down on myself. I want to also thank my friends and teammates for supporting me, and for pushing me to be a better player. And lastly, I want to thank God for giving me the ability to play volleyball and to be here. So thank you for everyone that came out today and to celebrate at my signing.
Okay, so we're just going to have her sign. Making it official.
Pen purple.
It is.
I would.
It is. And Aleena was really blessed because she ended up with a really nice academic scholarship as well as an athletic scholarship. So. And it looks like she's going to keep. right, let there be cake. Thank you all.